Hey, I'm going to do a reading on Barron Trump. He's becoming a young man, and I'm just curious what he is likely to end up doing in his life generally. If he's going to be more like his father and his mother, they both love money. Um, I don't see how he wouldn't be doing something regarding that, or if he's going to be very different. I'm just very curious. So it's just an open curiosity. Interesting looking at his birth chart, even just as a novice. Forgive me, I just washed my hair, so I'm recording this with my hair being wet, and I've got to put my on-air sign on. Um, okay. So he was born March 20th, 2006, and he's a Pisces. Um, his his ascendant is also Pisces, and his midheaven is in Sagittarius. His moon is in Sagittarius, and his Mars is in Gemini. Neptune in Aquarius. One thing that is missing from his chart is an Earth sign. Um, he has, let's see here, some grand trines and T square with Mars in Gemini, ascendant in Pisces, and his midheaven in Sagittarius. Um, the moon was waning. His chart is a seesaw shape. The dominant element is water among the inner planets. And the inner planets do not fall in an earth sign, as I said. Um, Mercury and Uranus are rising. The trine aspect occurs most, a total of 11 times. Pluto is on the midheaven. Mars is on the nadir. I'll have to learn more about what that means. Anybody else that knows, feel free to put in the comments. And Uranus in Pisces and Neptune in Aquarius are in mutual reception, Jupiter in Scorpio, and Pluto in Sagittarius are mutual reception. All right. So that's basically a little understanding of his chart. I think it's valuable to always look at that and to learn, as I am trying to, some of the basic shaping points that you can learn from these. All right. So we're expecting most definitely a King of Cups. What do we need to know about Barron Trump and whether or not is he going to end up following in the footsteps of his father and his family's tendencies, or is he going to be a little different? What is his future outline like? What was his pre-birth blueprint generally? Is he going to end up being like a typical Trump of his father's side of the family? Or might he be more like Mary Trump? I tend to think that sadly he's surrounded by a lot of materialism, so I don't know. And he's pretty impressionable with all that water. So let's just see. And there's a lot of dynamic energies in that family. All right, let's see what Barron Trump's adulting will look like here. Well, we have some inhibitions when it comes to personal wealth. There is some sort of limitation or limiting thoughts when it comes to independent, really wealthy, successful people. Somehow he has some issues where his thoughts are, and maybe that will change, but right now it shows that he's kind of stuck in the way that he thinks. about money and personal wealth. That's not surprising to me, given his family. We have the Death card and the King of Swords. To me, this is something about that will be significant where the ending of his father is concerned. And this is Trump as the King of Swords. And I believe his actual passing um, will end up being not un, not not surprisingly um, significant. Okay, let me just get a sip of coffee. So that's really interesting. You know, we have what we're shown as limited ideas when it comes to personal independence and wealth, and that may change or transform radically once his father, I think, passes. Okay, let's see what we get with the next couple. He does not want to be in the spotlight. It makes him very nervous. He, I don't think that he, for the most part, in that way, wants the same kind of attention, the way that Trump, his father, did, does. So I definitely feel he has a more nervous issue. And he might have some problems with sleep. There's worry when it comes to being in the spotlight. I just, it doesn't feel like it's his thing at all. Or maybe he worries about not being in it, but I don't think so. It just does not come off that way. There is something hidden here yet that is to be revealed. And it could be that he will end up being a little bit different and having a different perspective with the hanged man. There could also be a delay. Um, but I feel like more to the point that he's got a different perspective than his father. I think the death of his father is going to cause him to have a great deal of anxiety because I feel like there's push to be an adult or sense of that um, it changes the dynamic, of course, and that it's a real rite of initiation in a sense in his life that, you know, you go from always being and feeling like you're the dependent, so to speak, and there's the figurehead. And once that figurehead is gone, I think a lot of those people that have to live around that kind of an all consuming personality, or that have, I mean, he's at school a lot now. And once I, I think he's likely to be too at school, I think, when his father passes. Um, just a feeling. It's going to change his perspective radically. There's something that is yet that's part of his inner that Piscean energy that is going to be at work, is going to be looking at things and more reflective. I think he's going to feel the pressure by the public that support his father or those that have known his father to, yeah, take that up. And I don't know that he wants to take up that mantle. I don't know if he knows what he wants to do, but it creates a great deal of anxiety for him and causes him to, I think, be more defensive. And I think one thing when people try to box him into that, I think he's going to be pushing back that no, no, no. I'm not going to be doing that, or that's not my way. Um, but at the very least, to make sure that people don't confuse and try to, I think, lay the mantle of his father on him. That's the feeling there very strongly. It will be like they will people will be he will make that very clear. That's something that will trigger a defensive response immediately. I don't think he knows exactly yet either, but I think he is yet still forming, not unsurprisedly, a lot of his ideas about what he wants to do and so on and so forth. And he's going to be very much changed by his father's passing. One of the things that I saw in one of the readings on his family after he goes is I see they're going to be having to deal with a load of lawsuits, you know, connected to the estate. And I saw um, Ivanka having to look at that and feeling like, overwhelmed with it and really worried also for how that's going to be managed. There's like an overwhelming aspect that's going to take apart a good deal of that family's brand strength. Um, so it's just interesting to see this here. There is definitely an emergence of his intuition. I hope he continues with that and doesn't fall into the grifter money obsession. But the fact that the first two cards we got for him are showing that he's going to be working out his thoughts about wealth and money and privilege and class. And I can't see that after being raised that way that he's going to reject it. But he'll have to come up with his own feelings, obviously. Interesting to see, though, that there's a firm push away from going in the same footsteps as his father. I think he'll do things his own way, for better or for worse, Probably for better. We get the home card, the card of more of, I think, the immediate family. And we do get a card of a child. So I think he will end up maybe wanting a family, more of a quiet life. Is that possible? Because that feels like the family energy and a child, um, maybe an earth sign child. And I see justice, and we get the exchange potentially here, where of money for something, in exchange. It can be a donation because this is help as well. But there's something legal that maybe this is one of the legal issues that he's going to have to deal with as being part of that family. Um, and trying maybe to get help to deal with the lawsuits that are left. That shows up. There's a certain detachment, disconnection with him. I think he's probably a bit different, neuro wise, And again, to do, with money here. Smaller though. There's a lack of interest in that. He's having a hard time getting excited about a start of a job or a business, maybe. There's just kind of a flat energy around it. And I think it's going to be some kind of a job. And it's not going to be particularly, it's like a starter job. And maybe that's why there's kind of a lackluster response. We get the card of the wounded and the recuperating and two fours. That's interesting. So there is pulling back and control. And this is the third four he's gotten. So this is about control. This kid needs control. He's not content when he doesn't think he has it. And he wants financial stability. And there's also like recovery and a need for recovery to get that stability and control back. I just think there's going to be a big disruption once his father passes and again the family estate, how that works out, and him seeing what a mess that's going to be. I think that he tends to just, when things get overwhelming, he has to disconnect. I think that's a habit as well. So I think there's stability, and he definitely wants control over his own finances. He wants say over his own, what he wants to do with his the money he gets. But he's got to come forward. He just wants more like a sense of peace, I think, as well with that four. Because I just don't think he's keen on having the camera on him. Who would be? Except for Trump, extroverts love it. Um, we get a card of detail and hard work or a professional skill, perhaps. Oh, I think he was going to really struggle with that. And with deciding on that with the Two of Swords, he's going to come to a crossroads where it's like, he's going to have to make a move. And I think it's regarding working in a financial industry, business. It could be school as well. This could be an issue with needing to take, I feel like almost like those tests, not aptitude, but the tests that exams and things like that. And maybe there's a block there. He might not be able to decide maybe what to do with that. I see his mother, Melania, there, and to do something independent. Um, I think she too is living more quietly here with the hermit. Um, she's, I think, assisting him to look more deeply and into something that would be more custom to his personality rather than just what everyone else does. And looking into also perhaps, hmm, these is this block from a another learning institution with that Eight of Pentacles and the Two of Swords. I feel like she's investigating something. So I don't know if that's like he's trying to get into a school that he wants to go to and he's not sure, but so she looks into something and I don't think they want him there is the vibe again. Okay. Okay. This would be him as kind of a younger energy. Oh, and this is a rude awakening. This is a sudden um something that's unexpected where a childish, rather naive expectation is concerned. It's a good dose of reality. I don't think that something he's going to go for is going to work out. Yeah, very naive, very sheltered young man with the Fool. Doesn't realize as a result the, I think maybe more naive than most kids that age, given how he's been brought up. Um, I think someone is going to try there's to make it clear to him uh, why his expectations are naive with this new start for something that he wants, maybe to go to a specific school or to follow a specific path of learning that doesn't seem to want to open up to him. And it might just be for the reason that he's not got what it takes for that. Typical, I think, entitlement issue with that family. But I think there's a woman here that's standing up, or at least clarity, and pointing out the whys and what fors of why that is naive. But he does get a card of a quickening. So it's like, I feel like it's a push to learn for him. And he's going to have to learn very quickly, but I think he will cop on here. There's temperance, figuring it out. It's going to work out at the end of the day for him. Um, so his energy feels very different. Not to say that he's not going to carry the other characteristics, but energy wise, interest wise, he does feel a little different than definitely Trump. His cards are different. I do see him as being very naive, very sheltered, and I think he's going to have some hard lessons on the horizon after his father passes. Um, and especially when it comes to trying to decide the direction that he wants to go in professionally and where training or learning is concerned. And he's going to have to figure it out. And I think he will. Um, we get an Ace of Cups. Hmm. And the Eight of Cups. This is walking away. Could this be walking away from a child or a relationship? Or that he has abandonment issues? I do think there are issues for him with his father of not feeling seen or heard, that abandonment kind of energy. There's a lot of emotion there. And being that he is the Piscean, that's a very sensitive person. Strong feelings of really being kind of like the last on the list. This is causes him a great deal of I think frustration and uh, stress that's overwhelming because he's got a lot of fears with the moon and uncertainty. So I think there's issues for him to do with emotional maturity. The fact that he's Trump really wasn't around to be, I think, much of a one-on-one father figure to him at all. The energy just shows here that this that he feels like he wasn't around and that he was left to figure it out. And there's a lot of emotions around that. A lot of stress that comes as a result of when he passes. And I think because it's that thing of he's kind of coming into his adult shoes, and you're dealing with somebody that's even, I feel like, has less um, maturity by the way that they've been so sheltered that it's a handicap. Um, but he'll get through it. He's gonna have to learn the hard way. He'll be going through that Page of Wands and hmm, the Nine of Wands. That just feels like baptism by fire. It's a, and I think he's going to really maintain his own boundaries. I don't think he likes to be out in the public eye. I hope he's not like going to be one of those that likes to sue all the time. But I do see him protecting his boundaries, protecting his privacy. Two of Cups, I'm feeling like he's going toward meeting someone, like becoming a father, getting married maybe here with the Emperor. And I feel that all these father issues come up as he's entering that time in his life when he's going towards becoming that himself or growing into a man and no longer being the child. And now his father's gone and he's still feeling like an abandoned child. And he's have to get through that orphaned feeling. Um, I do get the Three of Cups. There might be a tendency to drink here and a need to watch out for that in order to deal with pressure and to deal with changes that are coming in that affecting us all right now. Very transformative and also very painful lessons, especially anything where substance is used to deal with numbing pain. Um, we have more than one person, collaboration, work, and a change. So there could be a change in people that he works with or who he works for or what he's doing. We have greater clarity with the Ace of Swords. Oh, and about corruption. If he tries to do anything corrupt, and I think he might, I think he's going to get caught. And it will be clear that there is allowing the corrupt nature to drive one's motives, and that's not good. Unless it is to put this down. And somehow, well, we do get an end, a completion card. And waiting. So to see how something expands. And it's global. I think there could be some issues here where global business with other countries, this could be like if he goes toward Bitcoin and things like that, he could have some issues with corruption and get in trouble. Yeah. And then we get that Five of Swords, the bully card, trying to manipulate and push aggressively, assertively. A lot of mind games there, and probably more word salad. I don't know. Here we have the family influence and the genetics and the way, the imprint of family and the money aspect of the Ten of Pentacles and the Page of Swords. There is a watchfulness I think he's under the public eye. He will not be able to separate himself, in essence, from family imprints as I'd hoped. I think it's going to be clear that he's likely going to be exhibiting that and be money focused. Although I think not the way his dad is. I think just to a lesser degree, but I think he'll be coming up in the news, probably getting in trouble for some things. Unfortunately, there does look like a spot of trouble there. Six of Wands and the King of Pentacles. Well, that could be his uncle, Eric. Wanting recognition or attention. The family brand, and I think suing. I think I think he could get involved in things with some of his uncles, or he could end up finding himself in enmeshed in their troubles as well. And it's very reactionary here with the Knight of Swords, something fast moving about the family. And it feels like they're trying to still, why would they change, you know? He's going to go through some really difficult times with the Two of Pentacles and the Six of Swords before he might leave this country. I could see him going back and at least staying like in Europe, or moves so that he doesn't have as much pressure or stress. There's really up and down, really rocky times that he's going to have to go through. And it's because of stuff that his family's enmeshed in, mired in. I see probably his aunt here with the Queen of Cups, Ivanka, and the King of Cups. I think that's family probably as well, trying to manipulate or coerce, in my opinion, feeling like there is a decline where finances are concerned, or there's a weakness, or something isn't up to speed here for them. But there's definitely manipulating going on within the family, and I do see him trying not to get pulled into that, and that's maybe why he might end up, I think, living overseas more or less. Nine of Cups, yeah, and a King of Wands. I'm not sure who this is, but this could be something that he ends up getting involved, someone who he ends up getting involved with that's significant. There's like a wish card come true. Uh, and we have a King of Wands. We have the Hierophant and the Knight of Pentacles. I think it's business, and it could be through a religious connection with the Hierophant, somebody that's part of that scene trying to do business or work with him. And there's rules and regulations here that are being brought up into the picture again. So I think I think he's going to end up not unlike his uncles. I don't see him being like his father, I don't see him having that kind of interest or charisma, but I do think he will get involved in troubled business dealings. Ace of Wands, yeah, and the Seven of Pentacles. Trying different business ventures. He has goals. I think he's going to do entrepreneurial work because I think when he tries to get in to the prestigious places that don't want to go near a Trump, he's going to have to go the route of entrepreneur. And I think that's where the independent finance income will come from. And I think Melania will be the one that will be encouraging that with him since he can't fit into their school or get in there or whatever. I feel, or maybe that he's undecided. I don't know. But I see that he ends up doing it the entrepreneurial way, which for him could be problematic. And I think it will be. The Three of Swords. I think his uncle's in him. There's problems, and I've disappointment and loss. Could be even feeling like they weren't that they've stabbed you in the back, betrayed you. There's some kind of break here where a bond was, and we have fighting, and I feel like siblings with the Six of Cups. So I predict he is going to have a great deal of headache in his life through dealing with all of his other siblings and the money and the family estate and businesses and business deals and trying to do his own thing amongst them. That's going to be a real issue because he's going to be more like his mother, I think, than a Trump per se. He needs to watch where drinking and driving could possibly be concerned as well here with the Chariot and the Eight of Cups. It could also be pursuing a variety, maybe too many opportunities and not just picking one and going for it, spreading yourself too thin. It can be delusional as well. There could be some issues there with all those cups. But I really want to say he needs to be careful about consumption of substance and certainly not be on uh, around vehicles. Knight of Cups, an approach or an offer that is dishonest, fraudulent. So I see him up to the same shenanigans. The Empress could be possible reference to his mother or someone that he would marry. I think his mother's going to hold a lot of weight with him and be able to manipulate him, to be honest, and help him along to manifest what he wants. She will push for those deals and things that he's offering. She'll try and help him get that through. Yeah, some kind of an agreement, business agreement. Overseas, Europe again. I think she's going to be encouraging him to do sus business work over in Europe since he won't be able to count on getting along with his siblings in the US. All right, so that is in a nutshell. Let me know what you think and if you've done any readings on your own. All right, see you in the next video.